Welcome back to the Landbar School of Mines. Now, in this video, we're going to go over how to draw support, resistance, and trend lines to help you become a better trader. Now, support, resistance, and trend lines, also known as SRTs, play a huge part when dealing with price action trading. So it's important that you not only know what it is, but also how to draw them up and the rules of engagement. Let's begin by looking at this sideways market right here. We're going to start with what is known as support and resistance. Now, as we already know, support would be like the floor and the resistance would be considered the ceiling inside of the market. Now, before we move over to trend lines, let's talk about what faculties actually compose the support and the resistance inside of the market. Now, as we know, when it comes to price action, the market is all about creating data points such as the swing lows and the swing highs in the market. And as we begin to connect these data points, we are able to create our technical analysis through price action. Now let's take a look at the very basic support and resistance element, which is a key factor to helping all traders know when to buy and when to sell. In order for a support to get established, there needs to be at least 2 points of price rejection at a certain area. As an example, let's take a look at this black line. We could see that price clearly came to this black line the first time and had a rejection and bounced off of the black line. Now, when price came back and returned to this price level, this invisible black line here, price rejected one more time. Now, these two rejections at the same price level goes ahead to establish what's known as a support line in the market. Now, this allows us to know as a trader in the future when the market returns to the same price level, there is a much higher probability that the price is going to react at this specific area because it's now considered a support inside of the market. The same is true when it comes to a resistance line. If we see here, we see that the price was in a clear downtrend and pulled back to this specific price area where the price then rejected. Price went ahead and pushed its way down to support. Now, as price returned back up to this same price area, as you can see, this black line, price rejected once more off of this black line to go ahead and establish our resistance. So that way, when price returns to this area of resistance, we know that there's a greater probability for price to react at this specific point. Now, if we can establish a support and a resistance with 2 points of rejection, the same is as true when it comes to a trend. Now, trends can be big and trends can be small. Let's take a look at some examples. We'll use this initial reaction inside of the market. As we can see here, the market did push up and there was some wick reaction at this zone. Price continued in an uptrending motion and reacted at this specific zone. Now, as price continued to pull up and did a bigger pullback, right here, price was also reacting at this particular zone. Now, let's come over here and begin to draw our trend lines to see how we're able to mark up the trend inside of the market. Now, we're going to go ahead and connect the wicks and the bodies of these candlesticks, and we're going to look to connect these green data points inside of the market. Now, as you can see here, this first point and this second point was the biggest areas of the reaction of the trend. What is going to establish what is known as a trend line in the market. Now, the third hit on the trend gave us a nice small reaction, a nice small push up, and then price proceeded to break through. So as you see, not only was there a trend here, but there was also a trend getting formed right over here. We have 2 points of reaction, and then a third area right here, right by that wick, a third reaction point inside of the market, and then during the fourth interaction with the trend finally broke. So let me give you guys some tips and tricks using support and resistance before we move on. It takes 2 points to establish a support, resistance, or a trend. However, the third point, when the market comes back to the support, resistance, or trend line, the third point tends to be one of the best areas to expect a reaction point inside of the market. This means if we're going to buy at a support when the market is low, we wouldn't wait for the market to come here. We wouldn't wait for the market to come here. We would wait for the market to come back to a big support such as this. And because this is the third hit